What's up, everyone? It's Delty, and welcome back to another Kerbal Space Program live series, video, stream, whatever you want to call it. Today, we are continuing our efforts to explore the Kerbal system. We have our sights set on Eve. We have a contract outstanding with Eve to make contact on the ground, make a splashdown, and enter the atmosphere, which I think we can do all in one with a pretty capable multi-probe mission, basically. So what I have in mind is to have a launcher with 3 separate objects that it's going to drop into Eve's atmosphere. It's going to deploy a surface probe that's going to go float down into the ocean. It's going to deploy a lander probe that'll land on the ground, and then it's going to deploy a plane that will fly around Eve. That's the overall goal of the mission, is to get 3 probes in Eve and be able to fly them around and use them. We've got pretty much all the technology we could possibly need for this. We're going to start, though, by designing the plane. So the plane's going to be a bit tricky. It needs to be unmanned, flyable. If it can fly on Kerbal, it can definitely fly on Eve. And it needs enough fuel to be able to last for a significant amount of time, as well as have solar panels, scientific equipment, all that good stuff. So we will probably build a 1.25 meter diameter fuselage for the plane, a couple basic wings, and flight control surfaces, some landing gear. Hopefully we'll be able to land and potentially retake this plane off. It'd be like the ideal end state, end goal for the plane. I'm going to use the RC-001S remote guidance unit as the core of the plane, and we'll build it from there. So my thought is we could use the Weasley turbofan because it gives us a lot of thrust while also being relatively cheap. So if we do 2 fuel fuselages like that, and then let's pick our engine, which will be the Weasley right here, and then on the front a circular air intake like that. So it's basically just a large jet engine kind of stacked together. I could put a Science Junior on it, but I think I'm going to hold off on that, and we'll put a Science Junior on the landers instead, because it's just a lot of weight to have to carry around. Now a Delta wing, and for the wing tips, hold on, if we do the Delta wing like that, that's probably too much right there. We could do tail fins like this. Maybe scale them down slightly. And call this our Eve plane. So pretty simple, pretty cut and dry. We'll see about landing gear now. And then we'll just check center of mass, make sure everything checks out. We'll take it on a little test flight around the Kerbal Space Center. It'll be a good proof of concept. And then let's also verify as the fuel runs out, it will keep a consistent center of mass. Probably bring this out slightly. About there. Communications going to be very important. We'll keep a single Communitron S16 or 16S dipole antenna. That'll go on top right there. We have communication satellites in orbit around Eve, so The only thing we'll really need to be careful about is making sure that our flights are at the same time as satellite passovers. Okay. And then let's add our science gear. So I'm going to put 2 mystery goos on board. Obviously, we'll do the standard suite of sensors. So pressure, temperature, the atmospheric fluid spectrovariometer is probably a good thing to have since we'll be flying. And then what else? Gravity. And seismic for while we're on the ground. So that'll be our science payload all sitting there on the top. The other option is we mount them low to the sides like this. How does that look? Maybe I like that better. Yeah, maybe I like that better. Okay. Let's take it to the launch. Or not the launch pad, but the runway and see how she flies. As long as it handles well here, we will start looking at how to stack it on our launch vehicle. We're going to use a 2.5 meter launch vehicle. The 2.5 meter fairing should give enough room to pack the wings in. I realize I didn't put elevons on the wings either, so we're not going to have roll control. That's fine. That's fine. We can probably figure it out. Also not going to have pitch control either. Whoops. Oops, this is going to not work. Alright. Well, screw it. We'll find out what happens. Okay, yeah, it crashes. Let's go put some control surfaces on this little drone of ours. Okay. Let's go arrow again, and we'll just use maybe Elevon 2? Maybe think about Elevon 2. I kind of like it. Okay. Let's try again. I'm a big fan of the wing-mounted vertical stabilizers. I think they look cool. And I have a tendency to err on that side of the design, putting them there. All right. Control surfaces test. Looks good. Let's give her a whirl. See how she performs. Okay, center of mass may be too far behind the center of lift. Not a ton of pitch authority. I'd like to have a little bit more. Does fly okay. Plenty of roll authority. How about yaw? How well does it yaw? Well, it doesn't not yaw, but could probably do a little better in the yaw department. Okay, we'll make one little tweak to our control surfaces, maybe adjust our wings a little bit. But other than that, I actually think this will fly just fine. As an unmanned science plane. Doesn't look half bad either. Let's see. Center of mass, center of lift. Okay. So just a little too far back there, but that's okay. It's easy to fix. Just scoop those up. We'll save this as the KSP unmanned drone. There we go. Nice. All right. So I've saved this. We can come back to this build later, but we're going to go switch editors now. Because we got to figure out how to get this on a rocket stack. Let's tuck the landing gear in. Okay. Probably a decoupler to start it. Interesting. That turbofan engine does not want to be decoupled. Okay. Let's do this. Drop that whole thing. We're going to use the larger probe core as the center of our vehicle. I'm going to attach this that way. We could use struts or trusses and build it off of that. So if we do a decoupler, no, doesn't want to connect, huh? Fascinating. Okay. So I can get it. Ooh, I can get it to connect that way. There we go. All right. Okay, so that is part of the problem solved. The wings are going to be awfully wide, though. Let's do another truss. Mount this a little higher. Okay, it clips a little bit there, but honestly it should be fine. So that's our Eve plane. Now let's do the two probes on the other side. So we'll do decouplers for both of these kind of the same way. One high, one low. We'll have a Science Junior on each of them. And these are basically going to have the same design overall. And they're also going to be dumb probes, so basically use the ship to lower into an orbit where they'll hit the atmosphere, let them hit the atmosphere, and then raise the carrier ship back up so that it doesn't hit the atmosphere. That's the general idea. This guy we're going to try and skim through the atmosphere without a heat shield. These guys will have heat shields. So let's go to the thermal. 1.25 diameter heat shield. We'll do a relatively cheap octo probe core on these. I don't need anything fancy. We'll put the full science suite on them. So thermometer, gravitometer, pressure, accelerometer, and we'll do 2 on each of these, 2 mystery goos. Tuck them up so that they're not exposed to the heat. And a Mark 16 parachute to get it down. This Mark 16 should, because of Eve's super thick atmosphere, be more than enough to get each of these little probes down. Just like that. Now, the weight distribution on this is going to be a little wonky because it's so skewed towards the plane. So I'm going to try and move this over. So that it's less wonky. And then we'll put some struts down on everything. Okay, symmetry's not going to work, so let's just do 1 by 1. Alright, so that's the payloads attached. They should be relatively sturdy. And the center of mass is as close as I can reasonably get it. To compensate for this offset center of mass and probably the issues that will come with it, I'm going to put that there. This command and control ring will give us plenty of ability to push the craft around and compensate for this. And we'll do the fuel tank. And the pound engine on it. Alright, that gives us 2,594 meters per second of delta V. Should hopefully be enough. What's the thrust weight ratio? 7.22. We could expand this a little bit, make it a little taller, a little bit more fuel. I don't necessarily want to go all the way up to the Rocco Max, but we can put an additional fuel tank on it. Five two two 8 meters per second with 1.2 thrust weight ratio should be plenty. Now payload. Wings are going to be an issue. Yeah, wings are gonna be an issue, for sure. And I can't just add a decoupler to this engine, unfortunately. Or I would have done that. Or potentially even had this at the top of the stack, had these down by the sides. Maybe I will do that. Let's try this. Toss that one. Set that aside for now. What about a 1.5 stack decoupler? Well, let me attach to that. No. Dang. Alright. Maybe we go back to the drawing board with the drone. Try giving it stubbier little wings. Or we put a larger payload fairing on it, is the other option. Right, because I was trying to do this on a 2.5. We do have the 3.75. It just looks so dumb. It just looks dumb. It looks like a giant fat arrowhead. I guess we can do that, you know. And let's put a couple big tanks, and then we can go for the Rhino. Since we're using 3.25, the Kerbodyne Rhino engine, which also gets good performance. I mean, 340, it's like the Poodle, but huge. Yeah, sure. It's just bigger than it needs to be, is all. Okay. Fuel tanks. Smaller on top. And then to round it out, the Mammoth engines. We'll still use the large inline under the fairing here. (4,084 meters per second of delta V is a lot. We could stretch this up to the big fuel tank, I guess. 4.549, sure. Put a probe core on a second stage. There is a probe core on the second stage right there. We are going to need electrical power. We can go ahead and do that. I'm going to put just a bunch of the little solar panels in a row there. No, but they're all off. That upsets me. That triggers my OCD. Let's get them better aligned. There we go. Okay. Yeah, this thing has its own probe core. The primary probe core is this right here. And then each of these has a probe on them. 2 parachutes. Hopefully this one won't need a parachute. We'll see. Call this the Eve Expedition 2. That should really do us. Just for good measure, slap some extra batteries on the probe, or the core stage. I think that's about all there is to do. I'm not using propellers on Eve. I understand, like, if I use propellers, I would have infinite travel time. But this will have plenty of fuel. I can fly for as long as I want, basically. We do need some solar panels, though. Just manually put those on. And a couple of batteries. I think just the one battery should do. Either that or I split this off and add the battery in the middle, maybe? I guess I could do that. Give it a little bit more juice. Oh boy. There we go. I think that'll work. Priceless app, welcome to the live stream. Happy to have you here. Now, communication. Communication is key. It's essential to any mission. We could slap a relay antenna on top of the already large truss that we've built. I think that's probably the simplest solution. So just slap one more truss segment on and the relay antenna. Center mass, pretty good actually. I think I kind of nailed that. So we'll save this design. It's ugly and it's stupid. But it'll work. We're going to leave actually. Before we send this to the launch pad, we need to make sure that we are lined up correctly. Should be about 51 degrees ahead of Eve in its orbit. Did I put a heat shield yet? Customizable YouTube. So I have heat shields on the two probes that are just going to direct descent through the atmosphere. The plane does not have a heat shield. I am going to attempt a very, very slow glide through the upper atmosphere to decelerate. Similar to what I do with my... what are they called? Shuttles. My single stage to orbits. Alright, we should be about in the window. Let's go ahead and launch. Let's see. Eve Expedition 2. Let's launch it. Now, I do have this on the hardest difficulty, so the re-entry effects are pretty severe. But a careful glide should be able to get me down into the atmosphere. How do you make an interplanetary ship like from the movie The Martian piece by piece? You assemble it, you have to assemble it in orbit. Or you have to do something absolutely stupid for a launch vehicle. We built an interplanetary ship in a previous live stream. I don't know if you saw it, but it uses nuclear thermal rockets for propulsion. And we're actually going to expand on it. We're going to change out the rocket engine on that ship. So we'll undock the section that has the rocket, and then we will dock a new, larger rocket section with some additional fuel. Can I build a space station on Eve next stream? Probably not. Probably not. It really depends on what contracts I have out. I kind of just follow the contracts, you know. For the next stream, so after this stream, this will be a relatively short stream. I really only have a couple things I want to do, which is this mission, and then any other loose contracts that need to be scooped up. So explore Eve, this is the big one. We'll also probably finish positioning the satellite. which that satellite is way, 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 way out here. This one right here. This is the satellite we're trying to get into a very specific orbit, so we need to do a burn up here, and it's like a year out, basically. Alright, let's try and slow down here. Keep my thrust-to-weight ratio from getting too high. Not too high, please. Not too high. Throttled way down on this mammoth engine. Okay. Mammoth engine is spent. The Rhino is going to get us the rest of the way there. Okay, 3,000 meters per second left. Try and flatten out our orbit here. Just burn very low thrust. Okay, max thrust here. Go ahead and ditch the fairing. Wait a second. No, I'm dumb. Revert. Revert. We'll redo that launch. I realize we are forgetting some things. Or forgetting some things on our probes that are going to make it very difficult to use for their intended purpose. Specifically, we forgot solar panels. We're going to need some solar panels on these things. Yeah, let's just do 3 on each. Doesn't need to be a ton, but we also need a comms. Communications are going to be important. So we'll do the Communitron 16 on each of these. This will also give us an opportunity to reattempt that launch and be a little bit more efficient with it. We weren't very efficient. That lower stage should have pitched over more and earlier. Alright, save and launch that. Hopefully this will be a little bit better. Okay. Once it loads, just give it a moment. And 3, 2, 1, launch. Okay. Started pitch over earlier. Hold that angle for a second. Let aft flaps just climb. point forward. This is going a little bit better already. Awesome. All right. And we are apoapsis out of the atmosphere on our way to orbit. Ditch the heat shield and burn for orbit. Okay, we should be there in a few more seconds. Coast up to apoapsis and just past apoapsis. It's fine. Okay, that's orbit. 2,500 meters per second left in the tank, which should be enough. Let's do a rough maneuver to Eve and then bear it in from there. Okay, but where's it gonna be? Oh, okay. It's gonna be right there. Alright, that looks like our best bet. Our closest approach. 323. So we'll do that burn, and then we'll have to do a plane change maneuver to get the rest of the way there. But that'll take 1,000. Will leave us with 1,500. It's about what we would expect. Let's go ahead and warp to it. Alright, burn time 28 seconds. Start now. About 1,000 meters per second delta V here for this full escape burn. Okay, that's good enough for a rough. Let's leave the Kerbal system, or Kerbin system, and start our next planned maneuver. So now that we're out of Kerbin's sphere of influence, let's focus on Eve here and see what we can do. bring this in a little bit closer. Too far. Okay. Let's scrap that. Try one here. Descending node. Just a plane change. Okay, so that gets us in this system, which is good. It's too far. Hold on, scoot down. Now a little bit prograde for flavor. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. All right, 60 days to this maneuver. We'll go ahead and time warp to it. And we'll start pointing our ship towards the maneuver node. Goal is to get to a low pass by Eve here. And just based on how far my orbit deflects, I know I'm going to be relatively slow and relatively easy to capture here, which is good. Alright, going to do the rest of this by hand just to be able to watch it come in a little bit more carefully. 157 is totally acceptable. And the rest of the mission will take us a mere 80 days to get there. What's the actual time? 70 days? Not bad. Good comms, good electricity. Everything's staying powered up, which is good. It's what we want to see. Okay. A little bit more carefully here. So we have 1100 meters per second of delta V to work with. Let's do a burn like this. Yeah. Hey, congratulations on making it to orbit. First step in a long process, my friend. Good job. Alright, our craft has arrived on scene and is ready for the capture. Light the engine, start the capture burn. We don't have comms right now, but since we pre-planned that maneuver, doesn't matter. We'll wait till we come back in comms, which is right there. Now, what's Eve's atmosphere height? Like 80, 90? Um, 90 is where it stops. Okay. So here's what I want to do. We'll go retrograde. Then we will detach one of these guys. Let's extend it to antenna. I'm going to point nose down kind of like this. And we will have satellite coverage as we do this pass. No, 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 no. Go back to where you were pointing. Go back to where you were pointing. Point normal, please. Okay. Let's we'll do a quick save here, as it's probable we may jack some of this up and need to reshoot. Decouple that satellite. Okay, this guy's now flying on his own power. We'll point him retrograde. Oh, hold on. I was silly. Ha! I did the thing that I needed to quick save for. There's a second step to that. Okay. So you quick save. Great. After you quick save, it's paramount that you raise the orbit. Raise the orbit. Back up. This is not the quick save I was looking for. What did I click on? Oh, I could. We're on 31. Let's try that again. Why are we back at Tuna? We already did this part. So we're gonna lower, detach, raise, right? So we'll do the detach again. Now I'm gonna go prograde. Burn just a little bit to get out of the way of that satellite. Yeah. 92. 92 keeps it out of the atmosphere. We zoom way in here. Flip this bad boy around. There we go. There we go. Keep him going retrograde. Never mind. All right, the probes fail. Okay. Maybe we've screwed something up here. That was high up, too. Yeah, we could use the 1.875, or we could just use this heat shield, and I have a mod that lets me scale parts up and down a little bit. We could just make the existing heat shield slightly larger. We're going to have to take it back a bit. I can't revert this flight, though, unfortunately. Oof. Alright. Let's try a shallower angle of attack. Let's try just 80. You know? Let's try that. Actually, go back to prograde. Let's detach this satellite. Okay. So, shallower pitch through the atmosphere. Maybe it works. And we do a spin. Even out the heating, guys. Even out the heating. Yeah, we wouldn't try this with Kerbals. We're a little ways from trying to send Kerbals to Eve. But the spin move seems to be working here. We are on our way back out of the atmosphere. Okay. We could do multiple passes. That's fine. Okay, same deal. Spin it up. Keep the heating even, like a rotisserie chicken, you know? That actually seems to be working. We'll have to do this in a couple of slices. Yeah, we're not quite deep enough in the atmosphere yet. But that's okay. We're not trying to do a aero capture. We're just trying to do our descent. And I'm fine taking the time to do this in multiple goes. The airplane, we're going to have to lower its orbit as low as we can get it before we try and enter the atmosphere. Uh-oh. 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 I've lost comms. Oh, that satellite is so close to being in comms with me. It's heating up. Oh, no! Come on, hang in there. Don't explode. Don't explode. Do not explode. Don't do it. You're getting real close. Don't do it. Go down. Cool off. Cool off. Come on. Come on. Cool off. Damn it. Dang it. Dang flabbit. Alright, new plan. We do it all with the plane. Alright? Or we try deeper with the spin move. Deeper with the spin move, maybe? You know what I'm thinking? Like, the spin move seems to help manage the thermal effect pretty well. So, and we were maybe too shallow there, right? So this is the 60, right? That's really deeper. Still not super deep, but it's farther down there. We'll try 60. If 60 is too low, then we'll try 75. Alright. Prograde. $57. $91. Okay. Here it comes. You're trying to make a launch escape system? Nice. Important. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let's rotate around here. Okay, start the spin move. Nope. It's too much. It's too much. Why is Eve so hard? Let's go again. Let's not be deterred. This time, just as a proof of concept, let's see if the plane will get down at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to decouple both probes to save weight. I'm going to point prograde. Let's get apoapsis up to 90. That's all we got for fuel? Oof. Okay. Okay. So, here's what we can do. This mission may be a bust. But before we totally throw in the towel here, I can kick this guy. Just like that. Nope, that went the wrong way. We're it's tough. It's tough when you're so close, you know? Oh, no, no, Kerbal Space Program, no! Kerbal Space Program quit on me. Alright, we're going to pick this up tomorrow. It's getting late for me. This was going to be a short stream anyway, and it seems that the game has decided I've had enough. Tune in tomorrow. We will attempt to retry this Eve mission, and we'll fix the issues we're having. I think larger heat shields is the big thing. And if we can ditch the larger heat shields, we'll be golden. I hope you guys are all having good days, good nights, wherever you may be. And I will see you tomorrow. Take care, everyone.